Welcome back, everybody. So most of us are very aware now that terrible plane crash that happened in San Francisco this weekend, and details from the accident continue to come out, as well as more video of when the plane actually went down. So go ahead and let's check out this exclusive video shot by an onlooker at the time of the accident.
Look at that one. Look how his nose is up in the air. Oh my God. Oh, it's an accident.
Oh, you're filming it too.
Oh my God.
Oh, no.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, you're filming it.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh man, we know the plane, at least according to the reports at this point, was going slower than the recommended speed for landing. So let's have this conversation, because joining us now is aviation expert Brian Lawler, who was there in San Francisco, saw the plane go down, or at least saw the smoke.
Right.
We're going to get to the details. Brian, good morning.
Good morning, Scott.
Welcome
Good
back.
morning, yeah.
So Brian Lawler, for those of you that have been watching for a while, has played aviation expert on the front page, a lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps, teaches F-18 fighter pilots at Miramar, and also practices law specifically in the field of aviation. Just give us what you saw this weekend.
On the BART, getting to the airport, and saw a plume of black smoke. It wasn't real high yet. I could kind of tell immediately that something bad had happened and that it had just happened. So by the time I could actually see the wreckage, I could tell there was no tail on the airplane. It was pretty obvious. And the crash trucks were just rolling to the site. They hadn't even started putting the flame retardant on the wreckage yet.
Wow, so you were there, I mean, right at the time that this happened.
Yeah, didn't see it impact, but certainly saw it within a minute or so after it crashed.
Wow.
Yeah.
That'll scare you into not wanting to jump right back onto
Yeah,
a
no
plane.
kidding. Did you hear anything? I mean, I feel like it would be really loud.
It did not. I was on the BART or on the air train or whatever. And it's funny you say that. I think a few people on the BART said, "Well, we're all good. If that was the crash today, then we're all fine."
Right, I mean,
God.
statistically,
yeah, what are the
hey,
odds,
right.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
But Brian, let me ask you this. There's been talk already that the pilot had never landed at San Francisco. And there's this intimation as if to say, well, how can you have a pilot land a plane in San Francisco if he's never done it before?
Right.
Well, there's got to be a first time,
Right.
and there doesn't seem to be a lot of practice. It would seem to me that it's very common for pilots to land at airports for the first time.
It is extremely common. I mean, you have to fly with passengers in the back for the first time sometime. I mean, he had 9,000 flight hours. He was a very experienced pilot. He was just getting transitioned into the 777 and had 43 hours, I guess.
Is that a lot or a little?
It's not a lot of time in the 777. I mean, it's really probably one good trip's worth of flight time, but you have to start somewhere, and he did have 9,000 flight hours.
But as far as the going too slow at landing, I was under the impression that most of these big commercial jetliners are all on autopilot. It doesn't mean I didn't think that they didn't do anything. I just felt like most of this is autopilot stuff. At what point in a landing does the pilot take over from the computer?
Well, in this case, because the weather was so nice, and you've probably read, the instrument landing system was out of service, but
Yes,
you don't
I
need
heard
it.
that.
You're
Well,
not
that's what
flying
they're.
the instrument
Yes,
landing
exactly,
system.
because they had stopped it somewhat. I think it was in June,
June
right?
1st, I believe.
Yeah.
What did they do?
They had taken the instrument landing system out of service, which they have
But they
on
say
another
that wasn't
runway.
a big deal.
It's not.
Really.
The weather was absolutely gorgeous. They were on a visual approach. You're looking at the runway. You're maintaining your altitude and your lineup with the runway based on what you can see. The airspeed, however, obviously got away from them a little bit.
But why? Why would that happen? Wouldn't
Yeah.
they look at a speedometer in the cockpit? I mean, I don't mean to simplify this so much, but wouldn't you say, look, I know that to land, I need to be at 100 miles an hour, and they could look at the speedometer and go, hey, we're only at 75. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually, and to further that point, there's what they call a bug. They'll put a little dial on the airspeed indicator, and there will be a bug where if the needle goes below that, one of the crew members will say something like airspeed or power, which apparently happened about 7 seconds before impact. One of the pilot in the left seat said to the pilot in the right seat, power or airspeed or something to that effect. And
the goal, I guess, was to try and lift the plane back up and go around and give it another try?
The go-around was going to be initiated, it sounds like, at about a second and a half before impact, but I did some monkey math. That's about 20 feet above the ground. I don't think there's any chance, even if you applied full power at that point, that you're going to arrest the rate of descent. Plus, they had stick shakers, so you mentioned airspeed decaying and what what indications do you have? There is actually a device in the airplane that
will let you
literally
know, right?
shakes
Yeah.
the control column that you're getting slow.
Do you think, I mean, just listening to what was happening, do you think this was definitely an error by the pilots, or do you think that there could have been a possible mechanical problem?
I think you'll find out in about 3 or 4 months what the NTSB concludes. It would be premature to say one way or another. I know they're looking at all the possible causes,
Right.
but right now it seems like they are waiting to interview the crew, which they've not done yet. The airline and the NTSB have indicated there were no mechanical defects, such like an engine failure or something to that effect. Again, it's a little early to come out with an actual cause, but I know they are certainly focusing on how they got so slow and so low.
Right, right.
Real quick, final thought here. It's a miracle, I mean, I think, that most everybody walked away from this thing.
I would agree with that.
I mean, when we think
Right.
about the pilot that landed the plane on the Hudson River a couple years ago, that's
that
just
was
a
a miracle.
right?
Yeah.
But the fact that as we look at this video and you see this plane and the tail comes off and it goes flying up in the air and you see the top of the plane being ripped off, I mean,
What
the
are the
fact that people
chances?
walked away from this is just
Well,
it's
how sad is
incredible.
it too when you think about it? I mean, they were coming from, wasn't it North Korea?
South Korea.
South Korea. So to think that you had just almost made it. You
Right.
were minutes away from just landing safe.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Wow, and to be there, and yet you just jumped on a plane and flew
Just
right back to
jumped-
San
went
Diego.
down to San
Were you a
Jose.
little hesitant, or
Not
were you
at
thinking
all.
the odds of something like that?
The odds in
again was
general
okay?
are long shots.
Right,
But yeah,
right.
it was a freak occurrence, and it was unfortunate. And like you said, it's a miracle that the vast majority of everyone not only was alive but walked away.
Right.
Yeah, no kidding.
Lieutenant
Oh my
Colonel,
gosh.
thank you
Yeah,
very,
thanks for
very
being
much
with
for
us.
the eyewitness account and for
Appreciate
the
it.
opinion on that.